I call this meeting of the Central Florida Facilitators Toastmasters Club 9958 to order. Thank you all for being here tonight. If you have phones or other electronic devices that make noise, please put them on silent mode or turn them off for the duration of the meeting. We have some guestage tonight. So out that back door, immediate left, and you will find the bathrooms on the right-hand side. If you must exit during the meeting, we ask that you use the side doors toward the rear of the room. Not Toastmasters. At Toastmasters, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Through this mission, each Toastmaster gains a clear understanding of the club's purpose, and the organization as a whole benefits from a shared set of values and goals. Please help me welcome our thought and pledge leader for this evening, myself, which is pathetic because I'm the one that did the agenda, and I was reviewing the agenda, and I go, well, I'm the thought and pledge leader. Here it is. Even a blind man knows when he is in the presence of a bright light. Be that bright light in the world. Specifically tonight, let your light shine. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please welcome to the lectern, which I now clearly know because of Stephen Morgan's picture on Facebook, our educational person tonight, Jaye Majors.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Glad to see everybody. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on in the tax world and with IRS. That has been rather alarming for me and for a number of people. And I feel like you all need to know so you'll be aware. There has been a tremendous uptick in the identity theft type calls. Those phone calls you get that say, you owe IRS all this money, call us back now or we're going to do whatever it is they threaten to do. And they'll leave some number that you think goes to Washington, D.C., but it's going to India or to wherever it goes. Never answer those phone calls. If you see the number, if it comes up on your phone, you can report that to the IRS or to your police department, but never respond, never answer. Emails are the same thing with those same type of threatening comments. And they may look like they're from IRS. And I know you guys have heard this, but there's been such a huge uptick in the activity that I feel like I have to say something. I'm getting questions about these things. Clients, people, friends that I know, almost every day. So that is not a good thing. And somebody's going to fall into the trap. So please, IRS will never call you. IRS will never email you. If you owe money, you know you owe money. You call IRS and you talk to IRS yourself. When you are speaking with someone, you may make an arrangement that that person and you and that person may directly communicate. They will never email you. They will call you on the phone because their systems don't allow the email for the security purposes. So be very careful. One thing that has come out lately with IRS, they are looking at to save more money, and because of all the employee reductions, going to collection agencies to collect a debt that you may owe to IRS. So if you know you owe IRS, and you may get some communication, they should not call you, they should communicate in writing, just like IRS does. If you get something from any collection agency before you even do anything, call IRS. We CPAs are nuts right now. How are you going to respond to a collection agency and know that they're legit? You call IRS and you work on it. They're trying to save money, and these debt collectors are crazy people. As you know, if you've had other debts and had debt collectors calling you. So don't answer them. Put them on your do not call list or on your list on your phone so they can't call in. If they do call and they try to threaten you, say, send it to me in writing. If you're legit and I'm the guy you're looking for, you'll already have my address and my information. Don't give them any information, all right? And that's what's really scary, because now, how are you going to know if it's a legitimate collector or if it's one of the bad guys just trying to get your money? So please be careful with those things. One other bit of information, the state of Florida does use a collection agency for everything that they do. So if you've got back debts, once it falls into a certain level back, it goes into their collection agency. So be careful who you're talking to. And the last little tidbit, corporate annual reports, if you have a partnership corporation LLC, are due before the end of April. Don't wait till the last few days unless you want to spend another $400 to get it back. Okay? And that's my educational moment for the evening. Any questions?
You repeat that?
Okay. I would like to introduce to you our illustrious president, who has a few words to say about our business, Marcus Aurelius.
Thank you, Jay. We are the Central Florida Facilitators, and we are that for 3 reasons. We are sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators, open to all. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader, and here at Toastmasters, we are all about both, communication and leadership. And to facilitate means to make things easy and possible, and we want to make things easy and possible for you here tonight. As I look around the arena, I see we have a couple visitors. I would first like to ask Randy, if you could just stand up and give us a quick intro on how you got here. We'd love to hear from you.
Good evening. My name is Randy Rawweiser. It's Rawweiser pronounced like Bloodweiser, in case anybody has trouble with that. I am a former Toastmaster. There's a great right there. I have been probably in the aggregate of membership in 2 different clubs, maybe close to 10 years. A Toastmaster, I equate that like with marriages. When somebody says, how long have you been married? I say in the aggregate, okay? So it's been close to 10 years, but I have not been a Toastmaster for the past 5 years. And that is because I just have not had the time to do it, but I've been very active in public speaking the last 5 years, and I feel that I have a lot of room to improve. And that's why I was in the Lake Mary Toastmasters Club with Stephen Morgan, and we reconnected recently, and I said, you know, I've been thinking about it. I'll stop thinking about it. I'll actually do it and come back to Toastmasters because I feel that I have a lot of room to improve my public speaking. Thank you for letting me join you this evening.
All right. And Richard, I know you've been here before, but if you could stand up and give us another quick intro, I'd love to hear from you.
You couldn't have had me go first before the previous Toastmaster? Here before, but like Randy, time got away from me. Now back and able to hopefully commit full time and look forward to becoming a member.
And we have one more guest in the room. I'm sorry, sir, if you could stand up and tell us. You haven't been here for a while, right?
Can't
You
talk.
okay? All right.
And you probably can't see that little guest back here.
Oh.
No, Mr. Awesome, I'm sorry. Sarah, do you want to introduce Mr. Awesome?
He can introduce himself.
Okay.
My name is Dominic, and I came here because I was very mad when I dropped something in the washing machine.
What was that?
Is he the one that put the flip-flops behind the... Okay.
It's all the Pokemon cards
We're
got
glad you can
destroyed
make
in
it
the
tonight,
laundry
Dominic.
tonight. So
Oh,
it's
no.
the only way to stop the tears.
Hopefully you won't be mad when you leave here. Two real quick things for pre-meeting announcements. First is we have a club contest coming up on February 24th. If you even have an inkling of participating in the contest, please do so. It's a great chance to learn. Thanks, Tim. You're welcome. Also, we have a district auction, which is February 21st, District 84 auction. We're going to have our auction, I think, sometime in late March. We can talk about more of that later. Let's get started in tonight's meeting. Our Toastmaster this evening understands in the quest for mastery. One must put in 10,000 hours of effort. Here to give us some fresh ideas from the TED Talks book by Carmen Gallo and help you on your quest to 10,000 is our very own Jonathan Sanders Dunn.
I have been at Toastmasters now for a little over 3 years, and tonight is a first for me. This agenda, as it sits, we don't need to talk about any changes, because everyone's here, so that's really fantastic. But before I get into the agenda of the meeting, the TED Talks, let's go ahead and meet these fine folks who are working behind the scenes this evening, and we'll start with our timer, Distinguished Toastmaster Susan Morgan.
One of the skills Toastmasters practice is expressing a thought within a specific time. As timer, I'm responsible for monitoring time for each meeting segment. For our speeches, Gloria, are you still 4 to 6?
Till it's 5 to 7.
5 to 7?
Like I said, no changes.
Okay, I just wanted to make double sure, and I'm glad.
I meant for people.
So Roy will be 5 to 7 as well?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we have 2 speeches that are 5 to 7 minutes. Our table topics, you must speak at least 1 minute and no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds, right? Got that. And for evaluations, you need to speak, thank you, Tim, see off that? At least 2 minutes and up to 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So I will be timing everyone, and I will give a report when asked to give a report. Mr. Toastmaster.
Susan, prepping for the 2016 election, I want to pay that fine for you.
Thank you.
Next, our counter this evening. Tim Rickey.
In order to improve the quality of our speech, the counter job is to make us aware of the I'm having trouble seeing with one clutch. Audible crutches such as you know, and double clutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for the next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridges such as and so, and like. I will give a report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Tim. To Tim's left is our grammarian this evening, our president, Mark Lockery.
As grammarian, I have seen the word of the day on the website. website, and it is envy. A feeling of discontent or covetousness with regard to another's advantages, success, or possessions, etc. To use it in a sentence, I kind of envy Randy's last name. His sounds like Budweiser, whereas mine sounds like broccoli. I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. Those who have a chance to speak and do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined. I will also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional use of vocabulary and grammar. At the end of the meeting, I will also give a report on my findings. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Broccoli. Our vote counter this evening was most celebrated speaker 2 terms ago, so please put your hands together for Sarah Hunt.
As vote I will pick up your ballots. I may have my assistant Dominic pick up your ballots. For best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participants, and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sarah. Assuming is a dangerous thing, but since you're all here at Toastmasters, I'm going to assume that you would all like to be better speakers. And as much as I love this Wednesday meeting, I realize in my quest to become personally a great speaker, the work can't end here. As said in the introduction, Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours minimum to mastery. So in my spare time, I like to read books. I'm sure a lot of you already know about this one. But this is one of the better ones that I have picked up and read. It's called TED Talks, and it's by Carmine Gallo. The interesting thing about Carmine Gallo is many people remember Steve Jobs as a great presenter, innovator. As great as he was, he had a coach. And his coach was Carmine Gallo, was his primary coach. So that's Carmine Gallo's credentials. Is anyone in the room familiar with TED Talks? Would anybody like to stand up and talk about, for 30 seconds, what TED is? Go ahead, Mr. Ricky.
You'll probably be the envy of what I have to say. TED Talks, you have to be very specialized. You've got to have something unique for them to give you those few minutes on stage. And I've watched many of them. I'm a member of that organization. You can sign up, by the way, to get newsletters and things like that from TED Talk. They're very short speeches, but they're usually always profound. And what you go through to get there is quite a few steps to be accepted into that. Once you're accepted, then there's more steps. But the worth of those steps, because look at the exposure you get. Especially if you've got a good subject. You know, the phones are going to be ringing for you to be a speaker, a keynote somewhere. And by the way, a keynote pays $10,000 to $20,000 a piece, and they're 20 to 40 minutes. Anybody care would like to have that in there? So that's what TED Talks are about. Unless you have something you expound upon.
The only thing I would like to add to that, and you really did a great job, is that that ideas are the currency for the 21st century. That's one of the taglines. And one of my favorite techniques as a speaker is the power of 3. So there's 9 main points in the book. I'm going to just very briefly hit on them all. There's no way I can really teach you to talk like Ted tonight. You have to put in way more than 10,000 hours. So the first of the 3 points that we're going to go over before going into the prepared speeches. Your speeches, if you want to captivate, need to be emotional. Stats tell, but emotion sells. The number 2 point is master the art of storytelling. So if one of these points sounds appealing to you, you can go and Google that point as part of the TED Talks, and I'm sure you'll find that chapter of the book. And the number 3 one, which I struggle with personally, more than any of them, is just having a conversation with the audience. I struggle to just get up here and yell at times, and I'm working on it. And when I read that in the TED Talks, it was like the light shining on me. Repeat those: emotional, master the art of storytelling, and have a conversation with the audience. Those are all things you should really think about in giving the majority of your speeches. And now we will move into the prepared speeches this evening. Very excited about our two speakers tonight, especially this first one. Our next speaker is passionate about anything and everything real estate. Even with technology giants like Google, Apple, and even Zillow making our everyday lives more efficient, he believes the modern day real estate transaction is inexcusably stuck in the 1960s when he was born. Closings are not faster or cheaper, nor do they present a better experience to buyers and sellers. Looking for ways to disrupt the real estate sales industry, please welcome Roy Wittig to present What Would You Do with an Extra $10,000? You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to introduce you to 3 ways, 3 options that could put thousands of dollars back in your pockets. Thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money back in your pockets. What would you do with an extra 10 grand? Before I get into it, I want to give you a little bit of background and put things into perspective. When I was 21 years old, I bought my first house for $100,000 back in about 2000. And I was just flabbergasted with how much it cost to buy a home. Not only for myself, but for the guy selling the property. There was money going out here, money going out there, the realtors with their hand out, the lender with their hand out, title company with their hand out, the government with their hands out. Everybody wants a piece of that pie. So the first thing I did, not because I needed to, was I went out and I got my real estate license right away. Because when I went to sell that property a couple years later, I didn't want to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to sell my home. Now, lo and behold, a couple years later, the market was doing really well back at the time. I was able to sell my house for $130. Now, I worked in title insurance, I still do, had my real estate license. I was able to sell my property for about $6,000. If I was the average person probably sitting in this room, you'd probably pay $13,000. That's only a $7,000 difference, but what if it was a $300,000 house, or a $500,000 house, or a $900,000 house? There's thousands and thousands of dollars at stake here. So let me walk you through each of these options, each of these programs. First one is the bronze program that I like to call the do-it-yourself type program. Now, I don't recommend this as somebody who has my real estate license, but inevitably there's people in the world who want to do everything themselves. They don't think they need any help from anybody, and they want everything as cheap as possible. I'm like that sometimes, and I know there's one of you in this room here tonight. Susan. So the bronze plan simply is a marketing service. We'll list your house in the MLS for a fee, but you have to do everything else. You have to negotiate the contract, you have to show the property. It's a very limited service, but it's very critical you get your house in the MLS. And why is that? That's where the buyer agents look for properties when they're helping out their prospective buyers. And the MLS syndicates out, pushes out listings to Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, where all the young people start looking for homes these days. The MLS syndicates that information out. So it's critical your house is on the MLS. Otherwise, you really have no chance at all to sell it whatsoever. Now, the bronze plan will save you about $7,000 for the average price home in Orlando. That's 14 grand for a $500,000 home. Again, I don't recommend it, but it needs to be an option that you're aware of. Second, the silver program. The silver program is also for the do-it-yourself type, but we get a little bit more sophisticated because, I mean, let's face it, we need to do a little bit more than the bronze program. Now, with the silver plan, we list your house on MLS, we put a sign in your yard for maximum exposure, but most importantly, we put a lockbox on the door. Now, why is the lockbox important? The lockbox is critical because it creates comfort and convenience, okay? It creates convenience for you selling your property, so you don't have to be there to show the borrowers the property. You don't have to be there. You can come and go as you please. The realtors can get in and out of your house at their own convenience. And it creates comfort for prospective buyers. I mean, everybody in here has probably bought a home at some point in their career or their lives, and there's nothing creepier than going to see a house and the seller's sitting there on the couch eating potato chips watching TV. Or even worse, I run into this all the time. They want to hold your hand and take you through the property and tell you all the wonderful stories about every little upgrade they've done, and you're in there for 2 hours. So it creates comfort and convenience. Both of those are absolutely critical. Again, don't recommend it. Realtors provide a lot of great value. They can be complex transactions sometimes. So that leads me to my Gold program. Now with the Gold program, we do everything I just described, but it's a full service listing. It's a no frills, full service listing. We're in the Southwest Airlines of real estate. We'll do everything I just described, but we'll come by and we'll explain what you should list your property at. We'll give you a low range and a high range. We'll show you comps throughout the neighborhood. We'll be there to negotiate on your behalf with prospective borrowers. We'll be there to hold your hand from the contract execution through closing to make sure that that real estate transaction does go through and that you are able to sell your house. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Now what's different about the Gold program? It's just like a Keller Williams listing or a Coldwell Banker listing or Century 21. The difference is we do the listing at a fair and reasonable price. Our agents don't need to make $300,000–$400,000 a year. They're passionate about real estate, they want to earn a good income, but we provide a full listing at a fair and reasonable price. Now with our Gold program, you also qualify for discounts and title fees. Collectively with our Gold program, you're going to save about $5,000 on the average price home in Orlando, and you're going to save about $10,000 on a $500,000 home. That's real money back in your pocket. Now also with our Gold program, if you buy a property through us, we'll throw back another 1% towards your closing costs. So collectively, it could be another $10–15,000 back in your pocket through the real estate transaction. One other final point I want to make, and this is very important, you might see these programs out there from time to time. They're not very common because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's a lot of money at stake, and people typically don't advertise these kind of things. But we pay the buyer's agent 3%. And we see these kind of discounted programs, a lot of times they're shortchanging the buyer's agent, maybe only paying them 1.5% or 1%. The buyer's agent's absolutely critical to the transaction. They're the one that brings the buyer to the property. They're the ones out in the streets running around, working their tails off. We want the buyer's agent motivated. We don't want to skimp it at all. They're going to get a full 3% with these transactions and with these programs. So that said, in a nutshell, all I'm trying to do is make sure that you're educated and informed of the options that are available to you next time you go buy or sell a property. Not only is there thousands of dollars at stake just from going out and buying one property, you might buy 5 or 6 homes over the course of your lifetime. There's literally tens of thousands of dollars at stake here. When you go buy a car, you go find a painter, or you even go buy drapes, you're going to do the proper research into the services, what things cost. It should be the exact same thing for the real estate transaction. So I just asked everybody in this room, what would you do with an extra $10,000? Mr. Toastmaster.
Madam Timer, may we have 1 minute on the clock?
You may.
At this time, please give Roy your comments. He would love to hear back from you. And also, take note that Charlie had a little bit of a coughing fit, so I believe Tony has stepped in for him. Thank you, Tony. Seeing Jennifer Kessie billboards around town brings back haunting memories for the Kessie family as well as for our next speaker. It was January 2006 that both Jennifer Kessie and Gloria's daughter were missing. However, one family did locate their loved one. This speech compares the disappearance, process, and outcomes of both girls. Toastmaster, please welcome Toastmaster and grateful mother, Gloria Esteban.
So where is Jennifer Kessie? What do you think? What do you think, Tim? What do you think she is?
I have no idea.
What do you think happened to her? Sarah? Jonathan?
My girlfriend is in the same exact field, same age as her, so she's very well familiar with it. She believes that she's under the concrete slab of those apartments at Mall and William. And I know that's a pretty widely held perspective for a lot of people.
It's interesting, but it makes you wonder. 10 years ago, Jennifer disappeared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. I'll talk about the day of disappearance, and I'll talk about my daughter, and I'll also talk about Jennifer. The second category I'll use is the process to locate, and then the third will be the outcome. What was the outcome of each girl? So Jennifer just came back from a trip. She had a long-distance relationship with her boyfriend, who lived in Fort Lauderdale. And she just came back from the islands. St. Croix were one of the islands that she visited. So she was on her way back, went home. Actually, I think she went to work. Then she came back home, got ready for work. So everything was fine on Monday. That Tuesday is when she disappeared. Now, Monday night, she did call her friends and family, and she called her boyfriend, and he was the last to speak with her. So when she didn't show up for work, Westgate contacted the parents who lived in Tampa, and the parents right away came to Ocoee, where Westgate was, and then to the apartment to find out what happened to Jennifer. And at that time is when she was reported missing. So now a little bit about the disappearance of my daughter. My daughter was at Georgia Tech. And she was a good girl, called me about once a week. So I called her cell phone. And someone answered Sonic. And I thought, oh, I'm sorry, I have the wrong number. Because of course I thought I dialed the wrong number. So then I dialed it again. And this time they said, Sonic, this is a telephone somebody left. And I thought, oh, okay, good. My goodness, I was kind of relieved. Then I said, are you close to Atlanta? Because of course, that's where Georgia Tech is. Oh, pretty close. We're about 2 hours away. Well, later on I found out she had no sense of direction. So I started wondering, well, where did she go? What did she do? She used to work for builders and hold those signs up because they're always trying to find college girls to do that. She did that every once in a while, and I thought, well, maybe, she left it, no big deal. So a couple hours passed by, and then I started getting frantic because I also heard about Jennifer. And my heart sank for the mother, but then my heart was sinking too. And when you go through that process, you don't think. I was not thinking clearly. So I called my other daughter, and I was describing what happened with the telephone. And she said, I haven't talked to her since yesterday. So of course I was thinking, okay, so then the worry starts building and building and building in. Then, so I was all nervous, and so she says, call Jordan, her boyfriend. Well, of course. Did I even think of that? No. So I called Jordan. Jordan's a Brit, okay? So he's like, hello, and I was like, hey, Jordan. I said, this Miss Esteban, what you doing? I could hear a soccer game in the background. So I know he was really interested in the game, probably not talking to me. And I said, I have not seen Adrian. Have you seen her? And he said, no, but try emailing her. Oh, of course. She doesn't have her phone. I could email her. All right. So let's go through the process with Jennifer now. So Jennifer reported missing. They had tons of people going out and looking for her. She graduated from UCF. She was part of a sorority. She had all kinds of friends. The policemen were out. There were all kinds of hunts going here and there. Then they discovered her car 2 days later. The good news is they had a video, and they thought, oh, great, but you know what? That video, you could not see a thing. It was grimy, and it never showed the face. All they know was a short person. And that's all that they could discover. And they also were worried about, because there were a lot of construction workers there that would hoot and holler, you know, for catcalls, that's what it's called. And so they were thinking, well, maybe something happened with her then. So now the outcome. So the outcome of my daughter was that I called the college and I said, will you please go and see if my daughter's okay? And they said, well, she doesn't live on campus, does she? And I said, no, she lives in an apartment down the street. Well, they said there's nothing they can do. So of course I hung up, called back again, will you please? And then I was like in tears, please, what can I do? Can you please help me? You know, I can't find my daughter. And meanwhile, I'm hearing about Jennifer Kessie, you know, all this time, and my heart is feeling for the mother because, you know, I just know what she's going through, and even today, how she feels and how she can't sleep and always think about her daughter and looking at the phone or thinking she's going to come through the door. Heart-wrenching. So she tells me, the second time I called, they said, well, just go to Atlanta at the police department and you could do a wellness call. First time I learned of that. So I did that. The outcome of my daughter was great. My daughter said, a big burly policeman came, knocked on the door, call your mother, and you call her once a week. That's what he told her. Yeah. So she called me, I was happy. But poor Jennifer, her outcome, they still don't know where she is. If I could just take 5 seconds of silence just to pray for her that she's safe and for her family. And, you know, I pray no one has to go through that. Mr. Tabletopics. I mean, Tabletopics, Toastmaster.
Madam Timer, may we have a minute on the clock, please? Madam Timer, may we have a timer's report, please?
Our speakers this evening, Roy was 5 to 7 minutes. He spoke 6 minutes and 56 seconds, so he qualifies. And Gloria, you were 5 to 7 minutes, and yours was 6 minutes and 52 seconds. So they both qualified.
Okay, both qualified. It's going to be a tough vote tonight, but at this point, please cast your vote for Best Speaker, and Sarah will come around and gather your votes. And before we move into the next portion of the meeting, everyone's favorite, table topics, I'm going to move to my next 3 TED Talks points. But I also want to refer back to the first 3. Both Roy and Gloria were emotional. They both did a pretty good job of having a conversation with the audience, so kudos to you guys. Part 2, he refers to it in the book as novel. And the first of the 3 points under novel is when you come up here and speak to try to teach us something new. Leave us better off. The second one, Tim Rickey commonly refers to this as the hook. They refer to it as deliver some jaw-dropping moments in your speech. As an example, if you were from New York City and you'd only been in the city your whole life, and you suddenly went out to the Midwest and you were driving through the cow cow lands, when you saw your first cow or two, you'd say, and this is part of the book as well, they call it a purple cow moment, you'd say, oh, look at that cow. Wow, look at that cow. And after 50 cows, you wouldn't notice the cows anymore. So you would have a purple cow moment in your speech where the people in the audience are like, wow, 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 you want to hook them. So in every speech you write, it doesn't mean you only have to have one of those moments either. Try to give to the audience as much as you can. Number 3, our new general evaluator has done a wonderful job of this recently, and since she always picks on me a little bit, I have to give her some. The number 3 part of your speaking should be that you lighten up. You'll be far better off in your life when you quit taking yourself so seriously. So to recap those 3 points, number 1, teach us something new, have a jaw-dropping moment, and lighten up. We're all getting ready to have a chance to lighten up because it's table topics time. I'm just glad since I'm the Toastmaster, I don't even have to answer one. Our topics master for this evening is Jaye Majors. Jaye plans to get the group thinking and hopes to give you some practice with public speaking lessons while adding some serious and humorous flair to the meeting. I thought it said saucy at first. Please welcome Jaye Majors.
Greetings again, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Glad to see everybody. I wanted to mention, you brought the book, The TED Talks. Guess where I got my research tonight after I saw your topic?
TED Talks?
You got it. That's an article. So we were telepathing each other or something along that line tonight. Before I jump into some of the questions, would our guests be willing if I called on you to answer or take a question? Both, either one, both of you, Randy, Richard? Yep.
Oh, let's do it.
Okay.
I didn't just sign up though, did I?
You might get a question though.
I'm just gonna hide under the table.
Okay, let's get into the questions so we can move along. One of the first areas in TED Talks is you need to be passionate about whatever it is you're doing. You have a cause, something that drives you, that motivates you. What is it that makes you get up in the morning? What cause do you believe in? What motivates you to take action? What transforms you into a raving maniac with anything you may do? Tell us about it and make us believers. I'm going to go with Sarah Hunt.
What makes me wake up in the morning? Besides my coffee maker. The wonderful thing. Say, press the button, kids. Frantically pressing the button. I like to get up early just to have an hour to myself. And I'm a morning person, so it doesn't matter. It can be 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I'm hoping by 6:30 we're moving. But I do get excited about my days. I plan my day, most of it usually go to work. I do have to think about the meaning of what I do because I can get caught up. If I just look at my calendar, it doesn't look really exciting sometimes. It's a lot of reports. But I try to get excited about the small things. Even if I have to make kids lunches. I think today, what can I put in that lunch that just makes it a bit special for my kids? And it was a little Hershey Kiss. And then one of these fruit drinks, because I don't get them very much. But I knew that made me feel good, and they'd be surprised. So that was lunch. I was just making lunch. And then as I look at the other things, I have to go to people. I work in student development, so I look at what can I do to help a young person with their career development and get beyond some of the administrative things. So it always comes down to the people I spend time with in my day. And as I run through my day, after work again, it's let me just connect with my children at dinner. Wednesdays is Toastmasters, it's very special. I get to bring one, he's been dying to come to this meeting. And he actually wants to do a table topics. And
Yes!
absolutely no fear compared to the kind of person I was coming into Toastmasters, and still as I go to speak, get the nerves. I think I have a different child here. So that's what motivates me, it's the small things. Madam Table Topics Master.
Number 2 on Ted's list, tell 3 stories. Now this is in an 18-minute speech, so you're not going to tell 3 stories tonight. Tell us a quick story about some event that happened in your life that changed you and why. Susan Morgan.
Well, I can't say that 3 stories saved my life. Well, maybe they did, because I actually, the thing that changed my life was becoming a mother. And my first time being a mother was triplets. So I had 1, 2, and 3 little things depending upon me to be able to survive. And I had the best time with those little tiny creatures. And while they were in the hospital, I made sure to go in and make sure they were okay. And we hold them, give them kangaroo care, which is skin against skin. And they all flourished and thrived. And that is something that completely is the biggest thing in my life. When I got my other son, he was a bit of a surprise too. Number 1, we weren't expecting to get pregnant again. And number 2, he was supposed to be a girl. And he came out a boy. And boy, are we glad he did. He's a wonderful person. And my whole passion in life is about my children. And I love them, and that is where it goes from there. Madam Table Topics Master.
Now we're going to skip on down to number 4 on Ted's list of things. Teach your audience something new. Give them something unfamiliar, or maybe even something that they know about, but a new way to think about it, a new twist or a new turn. All of us have a profession or a specialty or a hobby. Educate us on an aspect of a common idea or thing or circumstance that most of us do not think about or consider. Randy?
Toastmasters, most of us have heard the term or are familiar with the concept of service, of community service. We hear about it all the time. It's in our corporate culture, repeats it all the time about how they have these community outreaches and they have these foundations and they do all these wonderful things for the community. But I have found that that is just really empty words. The service really comes from within each one of us as individuals. Service is actually an avocation of mine. We'd like to call it hobby. I prefer the term avocation. I have always been envious of people when I see them on programs where they're going to strange lands or they're really giving up their time, their talents, their treasure to make life better for other people. These are the people who actually put their money where their mouth is. They actually put their time, and they don't give lip service like we hear people and companies do simply for publicity. I'm able to walk the walk. I do it. I'm a Rotarian. That is the avenue that I have chosen to provide service for not only my local community, but also our global community, because the world is a very small place. If you get to know me a little better, you'll hear more about some of the details of how I back that up. But let me just say again, that service comes from us, it comes from within us, it comes from our heart, and most of the people who do the greatest amounts of service, they don't seek recognition for it like the companies that try to do it to impress us. Madam Table Topics Master.
Number 5 on Ted's list, deliver jaw-dropping moments. Moments that express your fear, joy, shock, or surprise. Whatever the event was or whatever happened. What is the most shocking thing that has ever happened to you? Why? And what did you do? Stephen Morgan.
I said get out!
For those of you who've seen that speech, you know what it is. Because it's very shocking to have your teacher shove you across the classroom in front of everyone. And that was by far an incredible trauma that I had to figure out. I don't necessarily know if I handled it the best way or not, given what I think about it from this point of view. Many years later, I think I probably handled it as best as possibly could have been done. But on the other hand, it helps so much more to be able to say what happened now when I wasn't able to then. That had happened in front of many of the other kids that were there, that no one wanted to talk about it or would say anything about it, ends up prolonging that entire trauma further. And what I found within Toastmasters itself, the ability to be able to get up and talk, the advantage that no one's going to talk back while you're speaking, gives you a venue to be able to say things if you're willing to take that risk and step forward and open up. Amusingly and amazingly, so many people refuse to go there to talk about the things that they're most scared about because they're terrified enough about getting up to speak. And yet, if you're willing to do it, those of us who have taken that shot and gotten up, opened up about the things that are that terrifying, that scary, that have been that horrific, you discover something else. First of all, by being that vulnerable up front, everyone else is in awe of the simple fact that you'd be willing to do that. And at the same time, you get an outpouring of support that you managed to get through it, that you're trying to resolve at this point in time. This is why I will describe Toastmasters in many ways as the perfect support group for whatever your problem is. And though you laugh about it, the simple fact I'm saying is that you get up and talk about it. Madam Tabletop Master.
Number 6 on Ted's list, use humor without telling a joke. Make your speech funny. Make your talk funny. It keeps people interested. So, you are Samuel Sidewinder, a.k.a. Samuel Swindler, a.k.a. the Sidewinder Sam. You are running for the highest office in the land in the Ripoff Party, all of who are envious of your every slinky move. Please convince the audience that you and only you are the most experienced and greatest swindler of all in the Ripoff Party candidates. Tim Rickey, because he's laughing already.
I don't want to be like Trump.
Now remember, you're Samuel Swindler.
Yes, you say you want more for your money, tell you what I'm going to do, friend. It's good for Pittsburgh to pregnant make childbirth pleasure. This is the old thing they did with the covered wagon, the medicine man. Years ago, he'd sell you that drink that solved all your problems. So the idea is here that I want you to vote for me. I want you to buy my product. Why? You want people with experience. Time served. Well, I just got out, well, never mind that. But, so there's times that you've spent that you can turn it around. We had a speech a humor speech contest many years ago with the guys where he's a politician and he used those things about being in jail as his background. And it was hilarious. He won the district with the speech. But the idea of the politician today, especially when you watch what's going on here, it's amazing. You see someone like Trump who, I'm afraid if someone, if he did get in to be president, and he'd say, I want it this way, and they said, no, look out. You're going to never hear the end of it. While if you hear someone like Bernie, he might listen. And then we have the other candidates, and you have to look at all of these different views. It is really confusing. It's very difficult for us to sort through all of those different candidates to see who's passing out the BS and who's telling us the truth. So it really takes some examination and study into, looking into their backgrounds, what have they done in the past, and they mature their word through the years. So if you haven't figured out, I'm a Bernie fan because of just that basis. Other people on Facebook would say, yeah, that's socialism. And I said, yeah, it didn't work for FDR, did it? And it did, of course. You know, someone said today, they really cut down one candidate, and I said, well, never worked a job, never succeeded in business, all of these things. It was about Bernie, and I said, yeah. Same thing happened to a guy called Lincoln, who failed 13 times, then he got the big job. The reality is all those failures are what build you to strength to handle the biggest job of all. That's what Lincoln did. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's skip down to the next one, and stay in your lane is the last one on his list. Speak about things that are authentic to you, things that may make you vulnerable. Be truthful, be open. So here's the question. Anytime you are going to hire someone for work or for anything you need done, or to make a purchase, or to even cast your vote, most of us place a high value on truth, honesty, and authenticity. You are Barney Truly, aka the real deal, and you are running for the highest office in the land in the Authenticity Party. Please convince the audience that you, and only you, are the highest and greatest real deal of the Authenticity Party. Richard?
The Authenticity Party is the most envied party in all the land. Even though I'm a guest today, I think most of you will come to find that I've made a fair amount of mistakes in my life. Some of which, if I'm a member and begin some of my speeches, I'll divulge more of. But making those mistakes, I think, making mistakes isn't the problem with society today. I think what the problem with society today is not only owning up to those mistakes, but then changing who you want to become after making them. You can either wallow in self-pity of what you've just done, you can try to blame somebody else, or you can accept responsibility and try to make yourself a better person and make those around you a better person. As Randy mentioned earlier today, service, I think, is something that a lot of companies and big businesses and even individuals do to make themselves feel better about who they are. If you were to vote for me for the Authenticity Party, I hope you will find that my mistakes will then better the party and further where we are trying to go and what we would like to do with it. So, given that that green light is not on, I will continue speaking about my authenticity with, thank you, Madam President.
All right, that's all I have for today. So, thank you all. Let's get a minute on the clock, I guess. Timer's report. Yeah, okay, timer's report.
Timer's report, all right.
Yeah!
Sarah spoke about what inspires people for 2 minutes and 8 seconds. She qualifies. I spoke about my children for 1 minute and 39 seconds, so I qualify. Randy, you spoke about customer service for 1 minute and and 56 seconds, so you qualify. Stephen, you had 2 minutes and 18 seconds talking about your fifth grader speech and that kind of stuff. Tim, you talked about politics for 2 minutes and 3 seconds. You qualify. And Richard, you qualify at 1 minute.
So, Jonathan?
Yes. Thank you, Jay. Great question.
Before we move into the final section and I relinquish control of the lectern to our new general evaluator, Tony, we're over the final 3 points, which Jay fed off the topic of the meeting. She did a great job. But the third thing you need to think about when you're doing your speech, third main heading, is make it memorable. One of the things I read in this book is that you want to have several Twitter-like headlines within your speech, something that can be slapped on a coffee mug. Because people won't remember it all, but they will certainly remember things like that. So the first of the 3 points for that point is Ken is very big on sticking to the time of the presentations, as we are here at Toastmasters. And sticking to the time is a great respect to the people in the audience, as we all share the same amount of time. Number 2, paint a memorable picture and think of appealing to all the senses when you write the speech. And the last one, which I believe was part of her last question, or next to last, is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Our general evaluator for tonight, he'd actually put recently, so our general evaluator tonight recently took the spot of general evaluator. Her goal this year, after we watched her birthday party last week, is to love more, laugh more, and live more. That's alliteration. Love, laugh, live. Please welcome to the lectern, distinguished Toastmaster, Tony Gail.
As general evaluator this evening, I will introduce the 2 evaluators that will be evaluating our speakers and their speeches. I will call on the functionaries to give us their reports, and I will also evaluate the evaluations and the meetings. So let's start out with our first evaluator. And I think it's Stephen. Or is it Gail? Okay. Our first evaluator will help reveal public speaking secrets from Toastmaster Roy Whittig's speech project. What would you do with an extra $10,000? Before she even begins her evaluation, it should be obvious to the audience that Speaker Roy exuded numerous secrets already. 1, he joined the Central Florida Facilitators! Hey! He is regularly participating in the weekly meetings. He has demonstrated his fears and his successes in the communication and leadership projects undertaken, and now secures his armor to take the brunt of an evaluation, knowing the evaluation is not about him, but rather about the delivery of the speech project. Welcome DTM and Area 41 Director Gail Hill-Smith to further cite Roy's secret recipe for public speaking.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters guests, and Roy. The objectives were not placed on our agenda, so let me read the objectives of his 5th speech in his basic manual. They're twofold. Use stance, movements, gestures, facial expressions, and eye contact to express your message and achieve your speech's purpose. And second, make your body language natural and smooth. With that said, secret number 1, Roy Whittig. When you deliver a message, the message you see should be the same message you hear. In other words, your gestures, your body movements, or in this case, we're focusing on stance, eye contact, etc., should have purpose. You demonstrated 2 or 3 times some very effective, what you were talking about is what we heard. For example, when you talked about money going there and money going here, not only was that reinforcing your message, but it also demonstrated a wonderful example, believe it or not, of compare and contrast. And why is this? Because when you went this way, your audience went with you. And when you went this way, your audience went with you. And what does that do? For a speaker, that pulls in your audience, it engages them, and it makes them hear, reinforced with what you're doing. Yay! Good going. However, a secret unlocked was we got to see your whole backside. Because as you went to go get that lockbox, you were talking down here, and then you reached in here. Oh, and there's Roy, the speaker. Did not have much purpose. However, what I would suggest is if you have a prop such as this, put it in a place that's easily accessible, and then after you've used it and demonstrated it, feel free to keep it out, because that will reinforce the message that you were trying to share. Yeah? And how about a third secret? Body language should be natural. Well, your facial expressions, your eye contact, he connected with each and every one of you. There were a few times when you did scan, but for the most part, you brought us each in. You were talking to us very naturally. And the one thing that I want to leave with you is, I think the faster you talked, the more you used your body, because you had arms going like this and this, a lot of unpurposed, unfulfilling body gestures. Slow it down and hone in on those body gestures. It was terrific. Miss, Madam, General Evaluator.
Before you introduce that, I've got to leave, I have an appointment. But I want to point something out here. I don't hesitate to use the buzzer, because it's not about me. If you don't want to use the buzzer, you're worried about yourself and what other people think. The idea is to let them know that they're making, that these things can be corrected. And if you don't hear the buzzer, it's really difficult to know where you make them, right? So that's my point. So I'll see you all next week.
Thank you, Gail. Our second evaluator. The greatest gifts of all in Toastmasters, he says, is the gift of feedback. With feedback, we learn about ourselves and we discover our potential. Here to provide his evaluation of Gloria Esteban's speech, please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan!
On January 23rd, Jennifer woke up very early because she had just gotten back from a cruise the day before. She was with her boyfriend down in Miami, and she had to get to work up in Ocoee. So she made the long haul up there, spent the whole day at work, eventually got home, made her calls to her family or friends, called her boyfriend up, tell her, talking about how much they love the trip. I love you. Next morning, he was expecting a text message or a phone call from her like he always got, but never got it. And Jennifer didn't show up at work. So they called her parents. See, putting me in your position, I heard this as it came on the news a couple days later. And seeing her parents upset, frantic, trying to find her. So of course, I called my daughter. And I called her up on her phone, and what I hear first is, hello, it's Sonic. Dial the wrong number. Try it again. No, this is a phone, I don't know who it is, I'm at something. And on the television is her mother, Jennifer's mother, talking about how she keeps calling her phone and it just keeps going to voicemail. Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, Gloria, what I gave you was a different presentation with the same information. You chose a great story for what you wanted to present. And obviously you knew what you were talking about. It was easy to tell that you knew what you were talking about because you were bringing up these tidbits all through whatever you were saying. Problem is, it was scattered all over the place. And as a result, your natural speaking habits, the ones that are the most difficult to deal with, the ones that keep popping up. I think it was this, I keep changing it, no, I think it was like this, and then it was like this, and then it was like this. Were the kind of patterns you were describing and using. And as a result, your message became as scattered as the presentation. Now, we all know and love you, and we realize it's just that you're scattered. What you were going for was the juxtaposition of Jennifer's situation to your daughter's situation happening at the same time. And the parallels that we're supposed to draw, you wanted to pull that emotional pull in so that we would be able to feel what you were feeling at that point in time. To make that work, you have to have a strong parallel structure, bouncing back and forth in a way that we can follow, and that we can follow that emotional trend. That's why I was suggesting it to you, why I gave you that presentation as I did. And that was what I figured would be the most useful for you because you've got the passion, you've got the emotion, you have to get the structure. And in general, that is it.
Thank you, Stephen. And let us have a timer's report. And you can
Gail, she spoke for 3 minutes and 28 seconds. She just got it in under the wire. And Stephen, 3 minutes and 21 seconds, so you also got it under the wire.
I envy all of you that finished on time. And that is, of course, one of my New Year's resolutions this year as well. And so far, I'm doing pretty good. So, 7. Let's go to our functionaries.
Vote for best evaluator.
Let's vote for best evaluator. Thank you for the help. I'm not sure I've actually arrived yet. We have Stephen and we have Gail. So vote for best evaluator. Both very different presentations, both very encouraging as well as probably spot on, I would say. Mark, would you like to give an honors report?
Okay, I would love to give an honors report.
Oh,
Actually, I'm giving Tim's honors report.
I understand.
And I'll just read it right off the list here. Mark, you were awesome as always. Gloria, 1 ah and Susan, 1 ah and and 1 double clutch. There's a name on here I can't read, but whoever that is, it's 2 ahs and ums. Sarah, nothing for you. Stephen, nothing for you. Gloria, 1 ahs and ums and 1 like and or so. Roy, nothing for you. Jaye, he's got you down here as 10 ahs and ums in your nose. And
Not the record.
Sarah,
We should all know this.
1 double clutch he's got you down. And that's the counter report, Madam General.
Thank you, Mark! Mark, would you like to give a grammarian report?
Oh, one thing you never asked. Thank you.
Welcome back.
From the word of the day, first of all, I heard it from Tim, Tony, Jay, me when I introduced it actually, Randy, and Richard. If anybody else, if I missed you, just let me know. Colorful phrases, good and bad grammar uses, Jonathan, Cowlands, Purple Cow, and Twitterable. I like those. Tim, during table topics, was speaking really fast, but he mentioned childbirth and pleasure all in the same sentence. Susan, little tiny creatures. I thought we were back at Alien Encounters. Gloria, you said frantic.
Yeah, I heard that.
I think frantic would have been right there.
I agree.
I did like it when they say the heart is feeling, your heart went out for the mother. I like that. Roy, this isn't grammar, but I could have sworn you sold your house for $130.
Yes, that's what I heard. Okay.
That's an all-time loss.
I did hear creepy and creepier, and we've been hearing that a lot lately in speeches, so. Charlie, I have him down for a coughing fit. Tony, in your intro, love, laugh, and live. That was great. Jay, you were telepathing each other. Not exactly sure if that was, you were telepathy. Is that what you were trying to get at? Okay. Gail, message you see should have been the message you hear was good. And also, yay, good going. Steven, you yelled something, I think I said get out. Did you say that? That was pretty loud and almost incoherent. You flared my tinnitus, but that was great. And also, Toastmasters is the perfect support group for whatever your problem is. Sarah, another plug for Toastmasters. Toastmasters is very special. I like that. Randy, your use of empty words when describing service and lip service and walk the walk were all memorable. And Richard, when you said wallow in self-pity, I like that. And that's your Functionary Report, man.
Fantastic! I did not get a table topics this evening, but if you vote for me to president, I promise to have a birthday party once a month and buy you all dinner! Because that was fun. Thank you all. Thank you.
I think you've been usurped, Mark.
And gift cards at any restaurant work. Okay. As far as our evaluators go, I really enjoyed the evaluations, and you notice several different approaches to presenting an evaluation, both hitting the really critical points of each of the speakers' speeches and the content and delivery method. One of the things for our guests that I do want to point out is that a lot of people are extremely sensitive about what you say during an evaluation. In fact, I cried during my first when I was evaluated for the first time. I'm one of those very sensitive people, but since Jonathan has joined, I've developed a very good and can take most anything. But I wanted to point out that what Stephen did with Gloria was a little risky, although Gloria has been a member a long time, and so has Stephen. And what did he call you?
Scattered.
Oh, scattered, yeah.
She forgot already.
I wrote it down, scattered.
She took it very well, and I think appreciates, the comment.
Yeah.
I was afraid to use a word like that on my paper, but went about it in a very long, drawn-out way to discuss her organization. Gail, I love the way you incorporate the theme of the meeting into your introduction as well as into your evaluation. It makes it interesting, as well as your evaluation was great on the strengths as well as the suggestions, especially the way you showed us the use of the prop and the turning around. I think Roy got the message. Got the message? Okay, good job.
Roy has a cute backside beside.
Oh, he does. Yes, he does. Your meeting probably started on time.
Hopefully we can have
Tony
that.
doesn't understand that.
I had an important meeting at 5 o'clock. Jonathan knew about it. So one of the things we can all do is communicate with our Toastmaster, which I did. I just wanted to let you know I'm a good girl. Communication, he said, fine, you don't have to do any roles. Come when you can. So I thought it worked out well, because I like to participate and be involved. We have a great group of people here. We've got all our core, wonderful, long-term people here, and it was a great meeting. Jonathan, I love the way you teach us something when you're the Toastmaster, and or remind us of important points. Am I funny enough? I can't think of it. I'm lighting. I'm light.
You have light.
I look light. I look lighter.
In multiple ways.
In multiple ways.
You're
Yes.
floating away.
Multiple ways, despite a lot of steak and ribs this week. So I am working on that. I also encourage all of you. You are all at a level of competence where you can compete in our upcoming contest. And you should. You should, because there's nothing to lose except first, second, and third place. But you don't have to win, because look at Donald Trump and Marco Rubio. They won coming in second and third. So I promise you, you will win by participating. You will win by participating in a contest, especially if you never have. I just want to let you know I've been working on my 10.5-minute speech, and I rewrote it, and I gave it at the ACE meeting Monday, and it was only 10 minutes. So I'm getting there. We have halfway to go. It was 8.5 when I timed it at home, and I thought, don't talk that fast. But anyway, it's a real experience to write and rewrite and really get it down so that it has the kind of impact you want it to have. I would all encourage you, as just as part of my evaluation, to do that. The meeting was great. I'm anxious to hear our winners for this election season for this evening. I will turn this meeting over to our iconic grammarian president over there.
Aren't you a bubble this evening?
I'm a bubble.
Wow, what a great meeting we had tonight. I loved it. We're going to get to the awards here in just a minute, but first, I want to talk about the contest we have coming up on February 24th. Did we get anybody to volunteer for?
We don't have anyone to chair it yet, or to be contest master. Although Tim did say something about that. I think Tim did.
Okay.
But I don't know. No, was it Tim? See, now I'm not even remembering who it was.
Okay, we can.
We'll just go for that.
It's the 24th. We still have some time, but hopefully by the end of the week we'll have some names in there, at least for the
We
chair.
definitely have contestants. We have Stephen and John and Tony for the international speech. For table topics, we have Stephen, John, Jaye, and Tony so far.
Good.
So table topics, y'all don't have any excuse. Table topics, you can't prepare for them, so you might as well compete. So do that.
Okay, it's only $25 to enter, so.
No, it's even free to enter.
Oh, then there you go. There's no excuse.
No excuse.
Also, the district auction is February 21st. If anybody has any items they want to donate or services for the auction, you can let our Area 42 director, Thomas Blake, know.
What's the date again?
February 21st is what I have. Yes, Gail.
You had sent around an email to possibly talk about this as well as a number of other topics. And so I would like to speak a moment on behalf of KB. For those of you who don't know KB, that's AKA Kitchen Biatch. And KB, because she is a member of this club, as you know, she is willing to put together a really, I wish those little ears were just not here. I'll have to tone it down.
Tone it down.
Tone it down. She told me to tell you all that she wants me to nicely kick your butts. She needs 2 or 3 people to work with her in a 3-foot space.
For who?
KB.
Oh, you?
Yes.
Okay.
For the auction.
Okay.
And setting up a display for the kitchen chili, and
So, I am not
Could you
supposed-
talk English?
I am not supposed to go home. KB says I'm not supposed to go home until I have 2 or 3 willing volunteers to help her serve this chili
Chili.
on the 21st.
Oh, that's a different thing?
Is it a chili contest going on the 21st as well?
Yeah.
They're doing it at the auction.
Yes.
At the auction.
Yes, KB is spreading her,
Now, is
Stuff.
KB representing CFF? Is that what I'm
Yes.
understanding?
yes. Because each club has been challenged to bring chili. And in order to do that, KB also told me to make sure every one of you comes, because it takes a quarter to cast a vote, you know. And she said, in order to win, you've got to stuff the ballot. So there's going to be a little jar in front of the chili being served, and it needs all your quarters. Stuff it to win it.
Thank you,
So,
Gail.
You are welcome.
Are you cooking? I got questions. I'm lost. Okay. Are you cooking the chili?
Yes, I'm cooking the chili.
You're cooking the chili. We don't have to cook.
No.
You're cooking.
You
Yeah.
can if you want, though.
Okay. You need 2 people to stand with you at the chili
Yeah.
booth and
Serve
serve and
and
collect.
drum up quarters.
Drum up. Okay, well, I volunteer Tim Ricky.
And Charlie.
Tim and Charlie. Okay, it's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday. I believe I can be there with you, Gail.
Okay, Tim Ricky is out since it's a Sunday.
Oh, is that on the weekends? Okay, I know we have some people out.
I'm probably available. I can just make sure and let you know.
Okay.
I can help out.
All right, Brandon's.
And are
I
we
can eat
doing,
those, I know that.
or we're just individually giving items to the auction, not doing anything as a club?
We're still planning to have our club auction, I think, at the end of March. So
Yeah.
this will be individual contributions to the district.
To the district. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's get to some awards.
Okay.
The first award is for the best speaker this evening, and it goes to Roy Smart Alex Whitting. Unless Donald wants to recount. Best table topics this evening, Randy Budweiser.
I already forgot his real last name.
Our best evaluator award this evening, get out of here, Steve Morgan. Our Tim Chastain Award tonight goes to a person that did dual duty, made table topics, very exciting, and told us the scary things about the IRS. Jaye Major. Before I forget, do we have next week's agenda?
Do we both have next week's agenda?
Did we ever vote for most improved?
No one votes on
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
Let's see that.
So why don't everyone vote for most improved
Is
right
the award
now?
back there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sarah Hunt, most
There's
improved.
no. Yeah! That's right! Yeah!
No, you need to vote.
Okay, real quick.
Go grab the votes.
Vote for me.
Vote for-
While you're voting,
While
Susan
you're
will go over
voting,
the
I'll
agenda.
tell you about next week's meeting. It's going to be a wonderful one. We have Charlie for the thought and pledge. We have Gail as our Toastmaster. What is our theme? Do we know?
I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay.
Wow, what a theme, all right.
All right. We have 3 speakers, John, Tim Ricky, and Tony. Sarah's going to be our table topics master. Roy is going to be our general evaluator. We have 2 evaluators, Mark and Charlie. We'll need another one. We'll need a supervisor of elections and an odd counter. We have Gloria as our grammarian, and there's somebody else as our timer for next week. If you can please tell me who you are, because I can't read your handwriting. Anybody claiming timer? There.
Elf.
So I'm certainly happy to go off counter, so I'll put my name in as off counter. And the rest we'll figure out within this week. The week after that, we have Roy as Toastmaster, so he'll give us one of those themes at some point here soon. And that is what we'll be doing next week. And the week after.
Thank you, Susan. Wow, this is just like the Iowa caucus, down to the wire. Thank you, Dominic, you were awesome. Our most improved award, the ink is still drying. Tony Gill! Yeah!